nervous for just a moment. In the end, a little bit of rush clearance, which drops to a Woking man before it will eventually work its way back through to Bulmer, and York will play out from the back once more with McLaughlin, who goes back to his goalkeeper. On the right-hand side, pressing from the Woking forward. He's done very well there. Alex Hernandez, Alfie Burton. Throwing conceded though, and York will look to work their way down the far side. Throw down the line, flicked on. Woking able to swing clear, but it will drop once more back to a sky blue shirt. York just starting to play a little bit on the floor now. Starting to work their way forward before playing a ball into Hernandez. Nice flick from Hernandez, picked up by the man on the right-hand side. Challenge comes in from the Woking number 6, Ethan Gold, and he pokes it out for a throw-in to York. Free kick then awarded. And Woking will send this clear. We're still really awaiting a clear-cut opportunity for both sides. We've played 26.5 minutes here at St George's Park, where it's Woking 0, York 0. Owen Crawford and Jacob Bulmer, the two goalkeepers, haven't really had a great deal to do so far. One of them is in action here. It's Owen Crawford. He's going to come out to take this free kick. Launch long. We're contesting there. Header away though from Dale. Flicked on. Can get a little bit of this kick. It's a bit of fortune, and they can look to bring it forward now. York play forward on the right hand side. Intercepted nicely. And Woking can get the ball down once again. Well, that looked a little bit rash from the York captain Tom Algar, who just went in a little bit late on Felix Ezekwulla, who's been probably the star man so far for Woking. It feels like if they're going to break down this resolute York back line, it's going to come through him.
Yeah, he's the one trying to pick up the ball in pockets and then just go 1v1.
Free kick then. Over on the far side, it's going to be an opportunity to send it in towards the penalty area. Fairly high line from York because it's played cross-field. Roberts gets up for the header, but it's away by Haas. Ezekwulla again puts himself about, does really well. He'll get the reward in possession on the right-hand side. It's a drive in field away from Haas. Gets away from the fullback. Still going Ezekwulla. Plays a 1-2. Looks to receive it back, but it's cut off before it came back to the number 10. And York can look to clear now. Foot comes in, bounces to a York man. And they can race forward over on the far side with McLaughlin. Great defending that from Alfie Burton. And he's pinched it over on the far side. Goes down, wants a free kick. Referee shakes his head. A real scrap over there before the throw-in eventually goes the way of York City.
That's been the story of the game so far. Second the ball gets in the midfield, a player like Lily White for Woking has just got in and just got rid of it. It's really frustrated York.
Both sides at the moment have been cancelling each other out a little bit. Woking have probably been slightly the better side, but certainly not a lot in it in terms of attacking creativity. York have looked very solid. Dealt with the attacking flair that Woking have offered as of now. They're on the ball here with Kieran Clayton. He plays it over on the right-hand side. Down the line, George Harrison looking to take it past his man. Foot comes in. He might get another opportunity at it. Well, he might eventually, but he'll be out for a throw-in first of all. York will just look to work their way down the touchline. Try and put a bit of sustained pressure on the Woking goal, which as of yet they haven't really managed. Infield. Brought down, but no real control on the pass. It's clipped infield. That's a nice little touch, and York can look to come forward again. There's a red and white shirt right on him as soon as he looks to bring it down, Alex Hernandez, and then just a little bit of frustration that I think from the York City number 9, who's not had a great deal of service. Looked as though he might be able to bring it away there, but lost out and brings his man down with a bit of a push in the back, which will allow Woking out once again. We've played half an hour here at St George's Park, where it remains 0-0. Long kick forward once more. Crawford over to the right-hand side. Glanced onwards by Denny Roberts. Won't run out of play. That looked like a push and was. from Ben Mitchell. It's a bit of a barge in the back of the York man, and it was always going to result in a free kick there. These teams at the minute just seem to be tactically cancelling each other out a little bit.
Absolutely. I think one real frustration is with Cass at number 2 at right back. He has not got high at all. He's been pinned back the whole game, both by Hernandez and number 11, Johnny Shepherd. But Johnny Shepherd's been very narrow for a left winger. He's come much more in, and I think that's really damaged York so far in this game.
Bit of pressure there on Osborne. Has to put it out for a York throw, and they'd look to come forward towards the penalty area. Cross comes in from Hernandez to face a goal. No one there, and it can be comfortably cleared out by George Wallace, and Woking can look to get upfield. He wasn't really the man you wanted playing the ball into the area, Hernandez. You'd have wanted him on the end of it, but they're still coming forward over on the right-hand side as the ball's played in. It's low and comfortably dealt with once more by Woking. Deflected then off George Harrison and behind for a Woking goal kick. Both defences at the minute are looking pretty comfortable.
That'll frustrate Scott Harrison's side because, again, with the defending, they need to actually get out for a throw on. Even though they got a goal kick at the end there, but they took them 3 attempts to clear.
Well, you noted that coming into this game, both sides didn't win their last fixture. I think you can tell that they're just a little bit cagey. Combining that with a cup final, maybe a bit of a lack of confidence. We've not seen both sides at their best so far as it's played forward into the chest of the number 9, Alfie Burton, to no avail. York can come forward, but it's another fairly lacklustre attack which will comfortably run through to Owen Crawford, who's had a pretty breezy afternoon in the sun so far. No real pressure on Woking as they play out from the back. Happy to let them go long. There's been a bit of a difference in the way the two sides have looked to play out from the back so far, and this time Woking going long and to reap the rewards of it as it's played forward on the right hand side. It's just stayed in play. York headed away and be brought down by Clayton.
Shepherd gives away a foul.
Looked like a foul and was. Johnny Shepherd, bit of a forwards tackle that. Woking come forward. Lovely footwork that. Driving forward at pace and still going. Great run from Ethan Gold. Now maybe a shot can come in. That's nice footwork from Felix Ezekwala. Goes down. Referee shakes his head. And now York can come away on the counter. This could be controversial. Alex Hernandez shakes past his man to the penalty area. Hernandez fires it goalwards. And a good save from Owen Crawford. That would have been a little bit controversial. Felix Ezekwala is still down on the edge of the York penalty area. He was desperate for a free kick.
From our angle, it looked like it.
It certainly did.
You know, you really would have fell for them if Hernandez had tucked the goal away there. You know, Gold had committed 2 or 3 men driving out from the back, and you felt like they deserved something from the play. And
yes, it was excellent play, wasn't it, Ethan Gold? We hadn't seen, that's what we've been talking about, just someone to step up and try and drag an attack through into something of real substance. And Ethan Gold, they're stepping up out the back line, driving his team forward, taking on a few players. That's what's really been missing, just that bit of confidence of the player to pick it up, try and dribble past a few players and get your team forward. And Gold showed a really excellent run there, almost got his side forward, and perhaps on another day, Felix Ezekwala would have been awarded a free kick right on the edge of the area, which would have been a particularly dangerous chance for Woking. But as it was, it turned into a chance at the other end, and Alex Hernandez was racing onto it for York City.
that's what we've been praising Ezekwala for taking that responsibility, wanting to beat a man. There seems to be the team feeding off him.
He's been the standout, hasn't he? And he's to a little bit of work from the Woking physio. He's going to have to exit play, but he looks like he's going to be okay to carry on. Just has a little word with the linesman there as he walks off the field, probably still reeling from that decision a few moments ago. No harm done in the end for Woking, who could have found themselves 1-0 down at the end of all that. As Crawford sends long, down to 10 momentarily. Drops over the head of both Haas and Roberts. And out for a York throw-in, as it will back on now for the Cardinals.
It's been a tough ask for Haas. He gets so high in attack, and then defensively, he gets pinned right back by Denny Roberts.
Bit of a rush clearance that, which goes Straight out of play for a York throw. It'll be just inside their own half on this near side. Elliot Owen is going to launch one. Infield. Well read by Woking, and they can flick it away. Ezek Wooler look to flick it onward. Got up a little bit too early there, perhaps, but he can drive away with it now, Felix Ezek Wooler. Look forward on the left-hand side, looking for Ben Mitchell. Doesn't come for him. Might come for him now, though. Down the left flank, Mitchell. Standing up the York City number 2. Tees it up for the number 8 to swing a ball in. Ezek Wooler came for him. Chance now. Mitchell puts it over the bar. Biggest chance of the game so far. Ben Mitchell. After a good ball into the penalty area from Max Lillywhite. Hit Felix Ezek Wooler and dropped for Mitchell, who ran onto it. He had maybe a little bit too much time to just think about what he was going to be doing. Puts it over the bar. Best chance that either side have created so far.
And you just wonder if the confidence of his first miss had affected him there. You know, he rushes it. He just leans back and skies it. It's poor.
That's a poor pass. A few mistakes starting to creep in for York City defensively, and Woking are piling on the pressure.
There's been a real problem. When they want to play up from the back, they've got to get high and got to get more width. Number 4, Algar, has to drop in a lot more just to give another option because it gets too easy for Woking to press. And they've been brilliant at that so far.
Roberts throw in, goes straight to Haas, who looks to play down the line. Half-hearted appeals for handball. Ezek Wooler picks it up, got a little bit of a clip, but stays on his feet to knock it through the legs of the York defender, and it's really a scrap now between the 2 Woking players and the 2 York players. That looked to be a York City throw, but goes the other way. Played down the line, and now York can hammer clear. That was good play from the York City number 11. Looked to foul, and he doesn't get it. Eventually his side will win a throw-in, but Johnny Shepherd just got his chest to the ball, put his body on the line a little bit, and didn't get the reward he probably deserved.
Looked like Hilton had gone high on the knee there. Just above the shin pad. That could have been very bad.
Referee certainly eager to let the game flow. Not been giving fouls even when they're looking like they probably should be for both teams, in fairness to Graham Hill. As the ball's played forward on the right-hand side, it will drop in behind the Woking back line and through to Owen Crawford. I think there's something to be said for letting the game flow, and also something for giving fouls when they're blatant fouls.
That's been the problem in the first half. This is the first real 10-15 minutes of flow in the game, and in the first 10-15 minutes there was no chances. Both teams were just playing on the throw and set piece and giving it away and getting rid of it very quickly.
Well, a chance then perhaps for Woking to send this long. They've got a free kick just on the halfway line. In these sort of scenarios, they've tended to go long and try and drop a ball in and around the edge of the penalty area where they've got that front 2 who are looking to pounce. Owen Sims is going to deliver it right-footed. It's low and along the turf, a really poor pass, which is picked off by his opposite skipper, Tom Algar, and he can look to bring his side away now down the right flank with George Harrison. Now with Alex Payne. Harrison once more, bit of space, if he can get past the Woking number 4, but it was well dealt with by Jamie Hilton. Pressure still on. Harrison looks to cross, almost picks out a teammate, couldn't sort his feet out. The York City number 11, Johnny Shepherd, and Woking can look to bring it away, but again they're quickly dispossessed, and Clayton's now on it for York. Shift it to the wide left for Haas. Played in field. Looked to knock it back to him, but to no avail. Pressure just starting to build for York. That's a really nice ball down in the left channel for Johnny Shepherd, but the flag is raised against the York City number 11. It brings that little spell of York City pressure to an end.
But again, when Haas got the ball, there is no width for him. There seems to always be one option. You need, as a fullback, you want 2 or 3. And this is what happens. The ball gets rushed and then Woking get a goal kick.
I think the whole game really has felt a little bit rushed in the final third. The mixture of nerves and the occasion perhaps getting to the players.
But I think tactically in the front line, Hernandez is too close to Shepherd at all times. There is no width on the left-hand side at all.
Osborne plays cross field. It's brought down nicely. George Wallace. Now he can earn an opportunity to cross, but the cross didn't quite match the touch a few moments prior. But a throw in, it will be to Woking, in line with the edge of the penalty area. Taken onto Ezek Wooler, nice touch. Flicks it into his own path before he'll tee up the fullback to cross once more. That's a better ball in towards the back post. Appeals for a penalty, turned away by the referee. Woking still on it though. Roberts looking to stand up pass, knocks it past him, looks to drive into the area. It's well dealt with by Johnny Haas. Stuck with his man, but a good challenge in.
Elliot Owen, you lucky boy. He's got his hand around his neck and he's pulled him down. It should be a clear penalty. York have really got away with one there. Do you agree on that?
I didn't get a great view of it, but certainly looked like there was some contact. As the throw-in's taken into the field, drops onto the edge of the area. Is it out left? Hilton, another chance for a cross to come in. Wallace across the face of goal, and it's knocked wide by the York City defender. And it'll be I think I'm right in saying, a first corner of the afternoon.
Yes, definitely for Woking.
Taken 41.5 minutes. It's been a strangely long period to go without a corner kick.
But the finishing has been poor. Both times they've had chances, they've skied it.
Yeah, a couple of big chances at both ends. Alex Hernandez had the big chance for York City. He forced Owen Crawford into a save, which same can't be said for Woking of Jacob Bulmer. Chance from this corner though. It's pinged in towards the danger zone. It's a good ball to the back post. Headed away. It's going to come back in via the 8, Alex Payne. Headed away once more. As it looks to make it his, but can't do so. And Alex Hernandez can look to spin and bring his side away. That's nice play down the right-hand side. George Harrison racing forward down the right flank. Good foot comes in. And I think perhaps the referee is calling it back for an earlier foul.
It was a brilliant challenge from Sims there. If he missed it, it's 2 against 4, and you would back York there to score.
They were coming forward at some pace. George Harrison, so great speed and guile over on that right-hand side. And for a moment, you just thought he was going to burst clear down the right flank. Did well enough, Woking. Still got to defend this set play, though, which is primed and ready to be sent in and around the penalty area. They've sent men up from the back. It's going to be a left-footed delivery via Johnny Haas. And it comes. A couple of men have gone down in the penalty area, headed but straight up in the air, flicked further on. York will pick it up now down the left-hand side. Elliot Owen looks for a teammate, finds one. And Tom Algar, he looks to swing it in on his right boot. Decent ball round the back post, glanced behind, and it'll be a corner kick to York City. So we've waited all game for a corner, and 2 come in the space of about 2 minutes.
Don't want to jinx us. We might not get one in the second half.
Well, perhaps we could have a goal as well, as Johnny Haas is going to deliver this corner in. It'll be an in-swinger off his left boot. Packed penalty area. Pretty much everyone back for Woking. In it comes, in towards the 6-yard box. It's glanced on and behind, I think. No, it might in fact stay on though. It will be another York corner kick, this time on the opposite flank. And that's going to result in a change of corner taker as Tom Algar, the skipper.
That was a good set piece there from House. He crosses it in well, but the idea was wrong. They're all pressuring the keeper, and you've drilled it into the middle. You need to get it right on the keeper's throat.
A bit more pace on the delivery. Algar, right-footed, in it comes. Deep ball in, over the back post, and in the end, over everyone. There was a push in there as well. And that'll be a Woking free kick. So that little spell of York City pressure comes to nothing as we tick down towards half-time. We've got about 30 seconds left of the 45.
And 1 minute at a time, according to the full official there.
1 minute is all. Hasn't been a great deal of stoppages, so you wouldn't have expected there to be a particularly
I think if you're
lengthy
Woking,
period.
you're a mid-table team, and you're playing against a team that potentially could win the league, or at least come in the top 3 places, you're going to be happy going in at 0-0 in this half.
Confirmation then of the 1 minute as it's sent forward, glanced onwards. Ezek Wooler picks it up. Again, does well. It seems to stick to him when he has the ball at his feet. Looks to poke it down the left channel. That was a good challenge from the York City man, but to no avail, and it'll be a Woking throw. Played in and launched clear, but it's straight onto the head of a Woking man. Launched forward again. Again, Woking send it back down the right-hand side. Here's Denny Roberts. Makes a swing and get past Haas, and then has a little nibble at the back of his heels as Haas looked to come away with it. That's been a real key battle, I think, so far. That battle between Roberts and Haas. At the moment, Johnny Haas has probably had the better of him.
Yep, it's been on both ends. Haas is really pushing him high, keeping him next to his fullback. We'll see in the second half who wins.
Well, that draws the first half to a close here in the National League Football Academy Cup final, where it's Woking 0, York City 0. A few chances at each end, but no goals to tell you of. Alex Hernandez came closest for York City as he burst forward on the right-hand side and forced Owen Crawford into a decent save. But Woking have probably had more chances, but nothing really as clear-cut. The best of them fell to Ben Mitchell, who from about 12 on the first time effort. That's the closest either side have come to opening the scoring here at St George's Park, where it's been a little bit cagey. You can tell the players are a little bit nervous, maybe lacking a little bit of confidence. Have you seen it so far?
It's been very cagey. It's lacked real quality. I think as well, we've given him so much praise. He's been brilliant so far. But it's lacked real quality, just responsibility, just taking the ball and committing a man. That's what we need to see in the second half.
Well, you can rejoin us in around 15 minutes or so, where you will be brought footage and commentary of the second 45 between Woking and York, and we'll find out who will be leaving with the National League Football Academy Cup. Be sure to join us then. The first half with few chances, and those that were created were spurned by both sides. And it's been a game that's been a little bit cagey. Both teams maybe a little bit nervous, the occasion perhaps playing a part. And we'll be hoping for a little bit more excitement perhaps in the second half, but there's got to be a winner. And if it takes penalties, we'll have to go all the way there if need be. So what are you expecting perhaps in this second half? Maybe a little bit more composure about the sides?
I expect York to start playing with a bit more confidence, getting the ball into the midfield and then going out wide. Every time it's just straight to the fullback, and they've really struggled at then getting it forward. It's always, we'll hit it long, and they found it very difficult.
Well, Woking in the first side to have re-emerged here at St George's Park. And I think they probably just about shaded the first 45, but York had their moments. Neither side really have been able to test the goalkeeper to any real extent. Owen Crawford had to make one save to deny Alex Hernandez, but the best chance of the game probably fell to Ben Mitchell for Woking as he put one over the bar from about 10 yards out. Not been able to carve apart the York defence really since then, and we still await for York City to re-emerge here. Woking are out and looking good spirits. I think they'll be pretty pleased with how the first half went, given that they're probably the underdogs coming into this.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're coming up against a team in York that are free scoring. They're averaging 3 goals a season at the moment. And to go into half-time 0-0, I think that's a real positive for them.
And they haven't really been threatened. I mean, we saw that opportunity for Alex Hernandez, but it was actually as a result of what I saw as a fairly poor decision by the referee after Felix Ezekwuela looked to have been fouled right on the edge of the penalty area. So other than that, they've been fairly compact. And York, who are, as you said, they're free scoring, haven't really been able to open up this Woking defence with any sort of ease at all.
Yeah, I think that diamond in midfield has worked brilliantly. They're making them go out wide and they're causing so many mistakes just getting the ball back. Now for Woking, it's just playing with the quality that we've seen from just Ezewake. If everyone else can feed off that, go 1v1 because it's really worked. And then when they've had a chance, just show some composure, just relax and you'll score a goal.
So the lineups then, if you haven't heard, we'll run through them now. For Woking, it is Owen Crawford in goal. At number 2 is the captain, Owen Sims. Then George Wallace, Jamie Hilton, Ellis Osborne, Ethan Gold, Denny Roberts, Max Lillywhite, Alfie Burton, Felix Ezekwuela and Ben Mitchell. And on the bench for the Cardinals is Josh Thompson, Louis Sullivan, Jack Knight, Sam Wright and Aidan Payne-James. And for York City, it is Jacob Bulmer in goal with Jacob McLaughlin, Johnny Hurst, Tom Algar, Elliot Owen, Ben Dale, George Harrison, Alex Payne, Alex Hernandez, Kieran Clayton and Johnny Shepherd. And on the bench for York City is Harry Burland, Billy Gordon, Max Ezard, Williams Edenene and Michael Hogan as York finally emerge. And we can get this second half underway very shortly and decide who is going to be leaving St George's Park with the National League Football Academy Cup in tow.
Well, it does look like neither team will win their respective league. It would just be a brilliant moment for both to really end the season on a real high. Some of these we're looking at the fullback number 3, Haas. He's got a professional contract. That's what he'll be aiming for. He'll just want to end this as a high during his academy time.
Yeah, it's obviously a great opportunity as well to be able to play here at St George's Park. Certainly there'll be a few people watching on and they'll want to be impressing those supporters in the stand and perhaps a few talent scouts that have made their way down here. It's going to be York who are going to get the game back underway then very shortly as Graham Hill goes through a few final checks with his assistants and both goalkeepers. York City, who have sky blue shirts and navy blue shorts, going to get the game back underway. Johnny Shepherd knocks it back and York immediately launch forward on the left-hand side. Something for Woking to deal with straight away as Osborne heads it away. Brought to feet. York get it once more. Played forward on the left-hand side. Hernandez brings it down. Now with Clayton, no foul cries the Woking defenders. But the foul is what happens. And this is an early chance for York City, who were probably wanted to start the second half with a little bit more life and fire than they did the first 45, which started with a little bit of a whimper from both sides.
But it's about getting the quality, especially on these set pieces. I don't think either team have won the first contact on their set piece, and that's really got to improve. That's poor, because you practice this all the time in training.
Well, Johnny Haas has been on a good few of the set plays. Comes up from full back, offers a left-footed delivery. Woking got a two-man wall. Just to be Jamie Hilton and Alfie Burton, and pretty much everyone else is back in the penalty area as Haas delivers a decent ball in towards the back post. And getting up there was Alex Hernandez, but it was just over the top of him. And behind for a goal kick. Bright start from York, but again, just a tiny bit of quality needed. Wasn't a bad ball in from Haas, just had a little bit too much on it.
You'd argue just a better time jump from Hernandez, and he would have scored. But that is poor goalkeeping from Ryan Crawford. To let that ball just fly over you in the box, you have got to make sure you get a contact there, or at least get to the other side. He was in neither. He was in no man's land, and he was lucky to not be punished.
Well, he's got away with it. He's going to take this goal kick now. Launching long. Good kick that. Drops onto the head of the York City defender, who nods it up in the air and eventually out of play just inside his own half. And Woking will get the throw in. Ethan Galt sends it down the left flank. Drops infield for a red and white shirt. Now onto the edge of the area, shifting it further right. Nice ball that. Denny Roberts looking to hold it up. Haas has probably had the better of him for the majority of the game. Plays it infield, looking for Jamie Hilton, but just doesn't get it right. And York able to scrap it out of play for a throw in. They've got themselves in good positions quite commonly throughout the afternoon, Woking, but just haven't really had the last final pass to lead to a shot on goal.
Yeah, that real final touch. I mean, we keep mentioning about Ezoake, and he's been brilliant at this as we quickly see the number 9 go forward.
Hacked clear. And York can bring it down. Looks to launch clear. That's good work from Denny Roberts. Little nudge in the back of Alfie Burton. Goes down, no foul given. And York find themselves able to come forward. That's a stray pass, which will be comfortably picked off by Ethan Gold, who was one of the standouts in the first half. Showed a real bit of individual quality to drive forward, which looked about as close as York City have come to being fully unlocked by Woking, as then a foul is given on Alfie Burton just inside York territory. So these sort of set plays have been utilised by both teams going long. York holding a fairly high line. It's just outside the penalty area, but Woking are going to send it in and around the penalty area. Owen Sims has been on a lot of the set plays from this sort of angle, and it comes via the captain. It's cross field. Not a great ball, which is comfortably picked off by York, and they can launch clear. Nodded to the left-hand side and swept further left, where it will drop for Denny Roberts, and he'll just let that run out of play, and Woking will get the throw.
It's been a real shift today, Denny Roberts, in terms of the running he's been asked to do. He has to track Haas when he gets very, very high, and he gets back there straight away and just sweeps up from Hernandez, makes sure nothing happens, and it's just brilliant. A brilliant performance when it's been a difficult game.
Down the right-hand side comes the throw. It's headed away. Drops onto the boot with the number 2. Swings it high and will drop inside the centre circle. Lovely touch that from the York City number 7, George Harrison. He plays it further right. And McLaughlin picks it up in field. Eventually York will send it long. Good header that from Ethan Gold. Down to his centre-half partner, Osborne, and he'll shift it over to the right-hand side with Roberts. Looks to play it infield. It's snuffed out by Alex Payne, and it'll result in yet another Woking throw-in.
That was the story in the first half. It feels very similar, where both teams are trying to slow the game down. We've seen it take about 35, 40 seconds just to get the ball back in play.
Throwing on. Comes to a light blue shirt, and York can look to come forward. It's clipped over the top. Will there be a flag against the York City number 10? There is not, and Kieran Clayton can look to play it into the area before Osborne. It's a crucial touch to tap it behind for a corner kick if that got beyond him. they'd have been in a real bit of trouble.
Yeah, it was a brilliant challenge, just making sure and sweeping it away, just brilliant. George Harrison was in, and it looked like he was definitely going to score.
There'll be a corner kick. And Haas has shown he's got quality from these sort of opportunities. Can he get this one right? It'll be a left footer, which will be swinging away from Owen Crawford's goal.
That should work beneficially because they're running a more of a queue to get in from the edge of the box where there's going to be coming in at speed. So we should see, realistically, them win the first contact.
And it comes from Haas. Decent ball in, headed goalwards, loops over the crossbar. Kieran Clayton got up well, couldn't time his head up. In the end, it rather bounced off the top of his head, I think, and behind for a Woking goal kick. They've started to look as though they're going to make the most of these set play opportunities in the second half, York. And Haas has definitely got a dangerous ball in, one to be careful of from a Woking perspective.
That's what's going to worry you for Woking. As the game gets tired, could we see the real quality of York come out? And we're seeing the set pieces from House. You know, if they keep giving them away, you expect him to put in another dangerous ball and them to finally put one in.
Launched forward. Will drop straight out of play for a throw-in to York. No substitutions as of yet for either side, but perhaps the managers will be starting to think about making a change as it's nodded forward by McLaughlin. Now with Zach Wooler driving in field, showing that pace and guile, and teeing up Denny Roberts for a cross on the right-hand side. His cross, again, lacks quality and is straight behind for a goal kick after a really good run that from Felix Ezekwulla. It looks as though we are going to have our first substitution coming up very shortly. Sam Wright is getting prepped and ready on the Woking bench. Looks like it won't be long before he joins the fray.
I've got a stat here you might like for this. I mean, if you're coming in not knowing either team, you'd expect a very high-scoring game. Woking averaged 2 goals a game versus York's 3. Yet we haven't really seen any clear-cut chances knowing that they would put them in.
Well, it certainly doesn't look as though we're going to get a 5-goal game, which the stats would suggest. You never know. Stranger things have happened in football as Wooler picks it up in the middle of the park. Turns, finds himself in a bit of space and plays a nice ball forward. In the end, it rather hit Ben Mitchell. Wasn't able to bring it down, but Woking will pick it up once more. There's been a foul given, in fact. Didn't quite see what for, and it looks as though it's gone against Woking. There's a Woking man who's down momentarily. Jamie Hilton, I think that is.
He was down earlier as well in the first half with the same thing. Perhaps it is just a bit of tactical time wasting, but maybe it is just a cramp.
Looks like a spot of cramp.
Which would be such a shame. You know, you get to a cup final, you've been playing, I'd say you're one of the better players for Woking, and just to get a cramp.
It looks as though he's going to be okay, which is good news. Been a real general in the midfield so far, has Jamie Hilton for Woking. So a kick is long, crossfield, got a little bit caught in the wind, but that might drop straight for Jacob McLaughlin. He loses the first contact though, and Woking can get themselves on the ball with Alfie Burton. Played in field, could be handball, not given. Burton will leave that, and Rezek Wooler will come forward. It's possessed, played down the right channel for York City, and it's snuffed out by George Harrison. Referee's just going to halt play, and we will get that change that I mentioned a few moments ago. Sam Wright is coming on, and the man coming off is Ben Mitchell. Well, perhaps what could have been for Ben Mitchell, who had that big opportunity in the first half, putting it over the bar from around 10 yards out.
You can't argue he had 2, where he put it wide when he was in the middle of the box.
Well, if Woking don't go on to win this afternoon, that'll perhaps be giving him a little bit of a sleepless night. They're on the ball here, the Cards, but right down in their own half, where York have had them pinned for most of this second half.
It's interesting though the change for York. They have gone wider. We've seen Hernandez, who looked more like the number 9. He is coming solely on the left wing, and he's going on the outside of the fullback, Mr. Owen Sims. And they're letting Shepherd play as the number 9.
So a throw for Woking. And they're going to send it as far down the line as they can. It's a really good long one. A strong header straight back in towards Woking territory. It's nodded infield where Ezek will be first to it. Looks to play it through towards Sam Wright for his first touches, but it won't come for him. And York will pick it up once more. With Haas. It's been one of the standouts for York City. Looks it backwards. Stern defensive system in play from Woking. A nice little bit of link up, almost finds a way through for York, but unable to pick through this Woking backline as of yet. Challenge comes in, was a little bit rash from Hilton. No damage done, but it's Harrison on the ball here for York. Driving infield, pokes it through the defender's legs. Good challenge that from Ethan Gold, and he can clear for Woking.
As the ball almost hit us there. Bit disappointed you didn't get your head on that.
York substitution is coming up as well now. And Billy Gordon is going to be the man introduced. Alex Payne's races run. And Billy Gordon makes his way into the fray.
For York City, leaving the field, number 8, Alex Payne. He's been replaced by number 14, Billy Gordon.
On it straight on with Billy Gordon, gets his first touches, looks to flick it forward. It will come back to the number 14. Can he make an instant impact? Well, he was just looking to poke it down the line with the run of George Harrison, who had a different idea and runs through to a Woking goal kick as the wind has just started to pick up a little bit here at St George's Park, where it remains Woking 0, York 0. Kick will be long once more. Woking have taken all their goal kicks long throughout the afternoon. Drops onto the head of a York man. It's nodded infield. That looked like handball. Pretty blatant, in fact, from Kieran Clayton, who...
Well, there should be a yellow card. That looked intentional to me.
It was almost comical the way he rather flapped the ball forward. Looked as though for a moment he was going to get away with it before the linesman put his flag up. Ethan Gold will send this forward on the left-hand side. It's a nice ball, that. Touch doesn't quite come off George Wallace. A few occasions on the first half, he took a lovely first touch, which allowed him to get across into the penalty area, but on that occasion, not quite. Woking have been pinned in this half. The first half, we said it was fairly even and both teams jostling. This half, I think York City have certainly shown that they're probably the better side, and they've started to control the game a little bit more.
I think that's more to the identity and the formation that they are playing today. Woking have gone with a diamond in midfield in comparison to a 4-3-3, which is getting very wide now, and it's really suiting them playing out from the back.
Well, here they are again playing out from the back, York City. It's been a contrast in styles from both sides. Woking have tended to go long, although on this occasion York are going to have to play it long. Headed away, will drop to the Woking number 15, who's coming back from an offside position, Sam Wright. He's not really been able to get himself on the ball much since his introduction into the field of play.
It's probably going to have the same story as Ben Mitchell, where it's going to be, you're going to get 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 touches before you get your chance, and you're going to have to take it. It could be 15, 20 minutes long before you get it, but you're going to have to be clinical in this final.
There's an opportunity for Woking on the right-hand side. Again, they just lose out. Has that been kept in? Not quite. Flag goes up. It'll be a York City throw-in. They come forward once more. Down the line from the throw. It's flicked on by Hernandez. Launched away by Woking. It looks a little bit clumsy. I think it was McLaughlin. Just
rose above to Burton there, and yeah, he looks really hurt.
They need some treatment here, Alfie Burton.
That's the size difference. Burton, he's 4 or 5 inches shorter than the back line of York today.
He used his body well there, Burton. Even with the bigger man coming in behind him, he positioned himself. He knew he could get the free kick and gets his side up the field, which, you know, Woking, that's what they need to do. Try and get themselves as far up the field as possible.
And take one for the team.
A lot of the half, they've struggled to really create any sustained pressure. That for periods of the first half, they did manage to. So a free kick then, just outside the centre circle. Not a great angle for a ball into the box. It's too straight. Looking to work something perhaps off the training ground. It doesn't come off. Ellis Osborne looking to play it down that left channel. Not on that occasion.
It was a nice idea. If he could get the contact on it, if he could just get that 1-2 inches further along, get a hit, we'd be saying that was a genius move.
But I think perhaps that's what it's going to take. We've seen two really resolute defences so far in this final. A bit of ingenuity, something like that from a set play. This ball loops up in the air. It's flicked on, another flick on, drops in behind the Woking back line. Just about done enough there. And then that's a really nice bit of play from Max Lillywhite to burst away from a couple of blue shirts and play it down the right-hand side. This is nice football from Woking. Back with Lillywhite once more. Now Roberts. Infield for Wright. He'll look to switch the play. It's a good ball. A little bit of an awkward bounce. Wallace does well, and he can put a cross in towards the near post. Goes across the face of goal before York are able to clear. Danger not averted. The shot comes in from the edge of the area via Ezek Waller, but it's well blocked. And York City are able to clear their lines. Headed back forward. That'll go out of play.
Again, if you're Scott Harrison, you're frustrated with your forwards. We've talked about crosses earlier, just getting in the middle. And I believe that was Sam Wright there on the back post. He needs to be getting in the middle and in between the two centre-halves to at least affect the cross.
Coming forward again here, though, the Cardinals. Doesn't come off, and York are able to clear, and it goes straight back out for a throw. And I mentioned Alfie Burton perhaps being not the tallest. If he had a couple more inches on him there, he may well have got a flick in at the near post from that ball in from George Wallace, who's offered a couple of decent deliveries to no avail so far. As York smashed the ball right up in the air to the right-hand side. A little bit of a tentative jump at it. And that's a tentative pass, which will come straight to a red and white shirt. Nice hold-up play that from Alfie Burton to drive infield. Eventually tries to do too much, and George Harrison can bring this away. Drops it in behind the Woking back line. Good first touch from the York City man. He's got options arriving. One to his right is George Harrison. He'll lay it into the path of the winger. Down the right flank. Cross comes in, stood up towards the back post. No one onto it. And Woking can clear their lines. Just lacked, again, that final pass from both teams that we've spoken about, just lacking that last bit of quality.
I think they need to communicate there. There was no one calling Harrison to tell him he's got time. You know, he could have easily just taken a touch or two and then aimed the cross. He wasn't even looking and just wanted to smash it in.
Going forward again, York, and that's excellent play from Alex Hernandez. He looks to drop it in behind the Woking back line once more, again to no avail. And it's Osborne who cleans up. So we still await the first goal here in the National League Football Academy Cup final. Woking 0, York 0.
If the game gets longer, do you think both Darren Wilson and Scott Harrison will start bringing on their attackers, just playing it safe for the penalties?
It's a lottery. Penalties is a lottery. There'll be nothing the managers can do from there. So they've got what's left of the game to try and impact things as the referee is just halting play for a moment, and Woking will get back underway over on the far side. They've got still 2 substitutions apiece each. 4 other substitutes to pick from to try and impact things tactically. It's the 2 number 10s go at it there, but it's the number 4 for Woking, Jamie Hilton, that brings it away. Now Denny Roberts deflected off a York man. Well, it looked though he did. The referee and the linesman disagree on the decision, so it'll be interesting to see which way this one goes. Goes the way of York City by the looks of it, although the referee's halting play to have a word with his assistant and perhaps award the throw into Woking. It did look as though it might be a Woking throw, but right across the other side of the field, the referee is halting play to speak with his linesman, and it's awarded York City's way in the end.
You can imagine for all these players, as the game gets later, they want to be the hero. A lot of these lads are looking to secure pro contracts, and this is it for them.
You know, we mentioned what a great opportunity it is in front of no doubt talent scouts and things like that here at St George's Park. What an opportunity to put your name in the headlines and grab the winner.
Absolutely, we some scouts from MK Dons, Hull City. Yeah, there's some big teams here.
And no doubt trying to force their way into the Woking and York City first teams respectively as well.
Absolutely.
Just played down the right-hand side. That's a nice turn from Billy Gordon, who plays the ball down the right flank. George Harrison's touch evades him. And then it's well shepherded out of play by George Wallace. Certainly been a handful, Harrison. Wallace has dealt with him fairly well, whilst also getting forward. The working back line have communicated well and worked together. It's launched down the line. Long one in field. Towards Ezek Waller. Number 4's all over him, but he's going to drive past him, Ezek Waller. Great driving run this. Shifts it further right for Denny Roberts. In field. Right. Nice footwork. Doesn't come off. In the end, he take the throw in. Woking, since those two substitutions that both sides made, it's probably shifted a little bit back more towards the Cardinals.
Yeah, but you expect on the conditions, the wind is favouring Woking if they want to get in behind and use them shorter strikers to use that pace. But they've really not been able to do it at all so far.
Launched away by York City. Drops for the number 6, Ethan Gold. He's going to be under pressure. Plays it forward, but it's a bit of a blind pass, which will allow McLaughlin onto it. He's got runners down the right-hand side. One of them is George Harrison. He's got time to cross here. Can he get the right ball in towards the back post? Headed goalwards, and it's gone in. And York City have the lead. Kieran Clayton arriving at the back post and heading beyond Owen Crawford. Nothing the Woking keeper could do. He threw himself to his right-hand side. Couldn't get anything on it. And we spoke about that quality. George Harrison offers it, delivering in a really nice ball. And Clayton cushions his header beautifully into the bottom left corner.
Absolutely. We spoke about earlier about how York had the bit better quality. They are higher up in the league. And they finally start to show it there. That was a brilliant header. Hits it low in the bottom left. And now 1-0. But it's been nothing more than what they've deserved so far.
I was just saying that Woking was starting to come into it a little bit more in this second half. And, well, curse of the commentator, York have gone up the other end. And they now lead Woking by 1-0. And Woking, who really haven't been able to test Jacob Bulmer. Well, they're going to have to now. Well, they're going to be tasting defeat. And George Harrison now is starting to ooze confidence down the right-hand side. He can get another cross in, this time towards the near post. It's flicked away, and Woking can clear their lines. He was setting off in chase of that Alfie Burton, working as hard as he could, but just too much on it. Can't keep it on.
The confidence difference there in George Harrison after the assist. He's looking up the whole time, trying to see where the best target is. And his body language, he's always going forward, wanting to get around that defender. It's much better than what we saw from him in the second half.
That's what first half a goal can do for him. Picking the ball up.
Was the assist he got?
Yeah, great play down the right side for the goal, and then knocking it past his man and taking the pace. He's obviously got that speed and power to get past players. We've just not seen him perhaps have the confidence to do it. That goal, they're getting that assist for that goal. It's just going to give not only Harrison, but the whole York City side that bit of extra confidence, as the referee is having a stern talking to with the Woking skipper, Owen Sims, after that foul.
But speaking of him and Wallace, in that first half, they were brilliant against Harrison. You didn't really feel Harrison affected the game in any way. And this second half, I said about them playing with a bit more width. It's just much more direct. And they could go up 2 here from the set piece.
Well, if they do get the second, perhaps Woking heads will start to drop. York City will start to believe they'll be leaving with the National League Football Academy Cup. Algar pings it in. First contact's off a Woking man. And they can look to bring it away now, the Cardinals. Brilliant play that from Ezek Waller. He's been the standout for Woking, and he wins a free kick inside the centre circle. Frustration from Billy Gordon. Not happy with the decision, but it looked pretty clean cut. Foul, and Woking are now going to make another change as they look to try get themselves back level. Jack Knight is the man who is going to be coming on. Can he have an impact? And being withdrawn is Jamie Hilton, who's gone down a few times with cramp, and perhaps his race, his run, looks knackered as he comes off. Hilton.
I'd be really frustrated with that goal. It was one of them peeling on the back post. He's the defensive midfielder, so you want him to be the one sweeping up there, and he just wasn't quick enough to get there. But he was very good in the first half, and it's just unfortunate for him.
Sent forward by Woking. It'll run all the way through for Jacob Bulmer. It feels as though York City have the height advantage across the whole field, really, and you did think if a goal was going to come, perhaps it would be across into the area, and said York have been starting to threaten a bit more from set plays and balls into the box in the second half, and eventually pays off with that goal.
I think it's also been their midfielders as well. They're trying to get on the ball a lot more and then just move it around just to get to them crossing angles.
Chance for Woking to come forward on the left-hand side. Looks as though there's just too much on it, and that is the case. Sam Wright giving chase, but to no avail. And it'll be a York City throw.
Look, you can see them pile on, make sure there's loads of options. That's been the difference. Woking in this half, when they've got the ball, they haven't really shown 2-3 options. It's been having to be very direct, maybe one or two.
That's good play, that, from Alfie Burton, driving inside on his right boot. Looks to lay it into Danny Roberts, but again, just gets the pass wrong, allows York City out.
Again, you look at that. Where's his option? Where's option to play the ball forward as we see York driving up the field into Harrison?
George Harrison has certainly been an option in this half for York City. It's been the main outlet. It's his cross that led to the goal. They look to find him there. He'll come off, but they're trying to feed the ball to Harrison as much as they can, and he's really oozing confidence now as he presses the goalkeeper, forces a bit of an error. And York can pick it up through Billy Gordon as the ball is launched out of play, and Woking will get themselves a throw-in.
Again, look at this. We've got Wallace on the throw, and he doesn't see an option. This will only give them more nerves going in to the final stages of the cup final.
A rare poor touch from George Harrison will give Woking another opportunity to take this throw. Option short, but it's going to have to be down the line again. Trying to get this man, Ezek Wooler, on the ball a little bit more. Hounded out, and now Hernandez can look to use that pace and strength, but that's well dealt with by Owen Sims. Only momentarily, though, and Hernandez can stand the ball into the area. Bit of a mistouch. Comes for the number 11. Brilliant save. Owen Crawford tipping it over the crossbar to deny York City the second goal that would surely have settled things here.
What a strike that is from Shepherd, and an even better save from Crawford. Shepherd, he opens his body up, it's perfect, hits it, going towards the top left, and it's so unfortunate. Just a brilliant save just to keep his side in the game.
Not a lot more he could have done. Johnny Shepherd as the corner comes in. Danger not averted, and it's flicked towards the Woking goal. And eventually finds its way out to the right-hand side with Harrison. Linking up once more with McLaughlin. Finds an option just inside. Nice link up this from York City. Doesn't come off, but then a poor pass will allow them back onto it. Driving into the penalty areas. Billy Gordon shooting at goal. Before Owen Crawford gets down to deny him. Launch long on the left-hand side. Awkward one for the York City keeper. And that could be a moment of controversy. It looked to be out of the penalty area. Jacob Bulmer. Well, decision to be made here for Graham Hill. This will be interesting. Took him out just outside the penalty area. Physio's going to be needed to come on. Can't quite see it. Who's down there?
Denny Roberts.
Denny Roberts, who was played over the top. And he was going to be first to it when Jacob Bulmer comes and takes him out. Decision to be made for the referee. And it looks as though it's going to be a yellow. And he's perhaps fortunate to get away with only a yellow card.
Yeah, it is last man, but he is in a goal-scoring opportunity. And we do see a different rule for goalkeepers compared to outfield players. But I'm just going to see if this is going to impact the sub.
And Woking prepping a change. Aidan Payne-James is going to be coming on.
You'd imagine it'd be unlikely with his height that he would come on for this set piece.
He's not the tallest, so perhaps we'll wait until after this set piece. Woking have barely had a chance in this second half. They've got one here.
It's in a great position for an in-swinging cross.
Owen Sims has been the designated taker. This is a big moment in this cup final. The time running out on Woking.
From set pieces here, you just want to hit that top corner, aim there, and if you can get a flick on, it's going to be a certain goal. Whatever you do, not cross that ball backwards, because it will lead you to a certain counter-attack, as we can see a 2v1 for York.
Referee blows his whistle. In it comes, fired in towards the near post and easily headed away, struck back towards the goal on the edge of the area, didn't really catch it. Woking still on it and they work it back wide left. Now with Danny Roberts, looking to drive into the penalty area. Down to the byline, foot comes in, goal kick is the decision.
I mean, we can debate the decision there from here, but that was so poor in the set piece. It cannot be hitting the first man. It's got to hit the back post where there was about 5 or 6 Woking players.
Talk about that corridor of uncertainty. That's what you want to put it in. Make it difficult for the goalkeeper, but I don't think there would have been any part of Jacob Bullman that would have been worried once that ball was fired in, and really only about a metre off the ground. It wasn't going to challenge anyone aerially. It's comfortably dealt with by York.
You don't see Woking getting multiple chances, or maybe I'll speak to you as soon as Azawaki drives forward.
Aguilar looking to bring it away, but loses out, and now played over to the left-hand side, but the flag is raised against Hernandez.
No, come on.
Well, it's starting to get to last chance saloon for Woking, who are running out of time here. And they're making a third and final substitution. And Alfie Burton is withdrawn. Aidan Payne-James comes on. Certainly can't discredit the work rate of Alfie Burton. He really has worked his socks off out there, but for no avail at the moment. Whether his side can go on and capitalise is a wait and see.
You feel for him today. He's had really no service, and he's been able to help chances. He had helped Mitchell get his shot, but just nothing for him today.
Well, they've got to try and form some sort of sustained pressure, Woking. They can launch the ball forward via Crawford. It will drop onto the left-hand side. McLaughlin will just let it run through for a goal kick. That's becoming all too common from a Woking perspective.
Yeah, the quality's been poor, and you can see the confidence has gone. If you look at some of the players now, their shoulders are a bit more leaning forward. They're nervous, and you can see that in their delivery.
Well, the first half felt like it was a very even game. The second half has been anything but. York have really showed their class. And they're a goal to the good.
They've been using width now compared to when they were trying to drive through the middle, and they've spread that midfield 4 out, and they've been brilliant, York, in the second half.
Flick on by Hernandez. Get it away. And that'll be a throw-in to York City.
And this is another example, just the second balls. They're winning all of them today.
McLaughlin down the right-hand side with the throw. Flicked in field. Appeals for a free kick, not given. Rushed clearance from Lily White, who had more time than he thought there. Just swung a boot at it. But if he got his head down and started to move, there was space over on the far side to run into. Physio is going to be needed here for York City.
But you can see the frustration for Scott Harrison as he made the call there. Start being brave on the ball. You know, we praised as Weller in the first half. He was brilliant, and you know, we'd argue he'd have been the man of the match. But in the second half, you know, you're not going to get it when you lose. And I can't think he's really influenced the second half at all. He's barely got the ball.
Well, you'd imagine that's something York would have spoken about at half-time, and they've done a great job of shutting him out the game. I think a lot of Woking's play was going through him in the first half. He was really a driving force, and we've seen him boxed out almost every time he gets the ball. There seems to be 2 or 3 light blue shirts straight onto him. And that's really been one of the key factors in York City completely nullifying any Woking threat in this second 45 minutes, as the physio still on for York. Play will eventually resume with a York City throw-in over on the far side. They won't mind this, though, York. Just happy to let the clock run. Of course, it will be added back on, but Any time that they can see out the game, I'm sure they'll be happy to take that at the moment. Looks as though he's going to be okay. Kieran Clayton, the goal scorer.
You imagine as George Harrison comes over to us, he'd be, in my opinion, the man of the match. What about you?
Yeah, I think particularly in this second half, George Harrison's really set St George's Park alight with some of the play on the right-hand side. Got the assist for the goal. And I think he's been dealing with a really good player in George Wallace, who for much of the first half was excellent defensively, but this half, for want of a better phrase, George Harrison's had him on toast. Billy Gordon on the ball and wins a free kick, middle of the park. Stoppages like that aren't going to help Woking at all.
And they're also sloppy fouls. You know, it's 2 against 1, and you just don't need to kick him in behind the ankle. It's needless, and it shows.
Perhaps some
Kind of
inexperience.
Yeah, and they've been sucker punched is the best way I'd describe them in the second half.
Well, that's brilliant from Hernandez to burst away and get into the area. Looks to play it across the face of goal at the near post. And in comes Clayton, who just for a moment thought he might be adding to his opener. In the end, he comes in too late and foul is awarded. Launched long by Woking, who are running out of time. Headed away. There'll be a throw in to the Cardinals. Down the line from Ethan Gold. Headed away by McLaughlin. Flicked further in field and brought down by the York City number 11, Johnny Shepherd. It's played back into the air, poked out wide right, and McLaughlin will launch clear. Rather shank that. Straight out of play for a Woking throw. Launched straight up in the air by Wallace. A few Woking players rather looked at each other, and eventually Payne James got himself on the ball. Loses out, good foot in from George Wallace, and then the throw-in will be awarded Woking's way.
Now, York have only done one sub, and it hasn't settled them at all. Billy Gordon has been pressing everywhere so far.
It's been a live wire. Here's Hernandez driving forward, pace and power from the big number 9. Slips it through into the penalty area for the number 11, Johnny Shepherd, who's in at the near post. He looks to play it across the face of goal. Almost comes back to him. In fact, it will come back to him. Now with Hernandez, stands it up to the 6-yard area, and Woking have to poke it behind for a corner.
That was incredibly unselfish of Hernandez there. In my opinion, he should have shot, and it would have been a better chance for Payne to get on that rebound. You know, test the keeper. You know, he looked shaky earlier in the second half.
Well, there's not been a great deal of shots on goal from either side. There's been one that matters, and it's from Kieran Clayton. He nodded York City into the lead, and they're looking to add to that and secure the cup with this corner, which is going to be delivered by Johnny Haas.
He's put the one arm up, so I'm assuming he's aiming for the far post.
As you say, raises his arm, flicks it in, it's in towards the near post. Poor delivery, but it almost works, in fact, for Shepherd, who can tee it back into the area. Good touch, great footwork, shot across the face of goal. Might have been finding its way into the far post. It was blocked, and then the flag is raised, and Woking get away with one.
That's brilliant from Payne in terms of the control, but he's got to do better on that finish. He doesn't even look at the goal, and that's why he hits it wide.
Well, he probably should have done a bit better. Wind really picking up here at St George's Park, and it's not going to help either side really. As York City, you mentioned they'd only made one change, they're going to make their second.
Let's see Max Hazard coming on.
Max Hazard is the man coming on, and the man coming off is the man who has the only goal of the cup final. Kieran Clayton goes off to applause from those in the stands here at St George's Park. He's got the goal at the minute, which looks to have put York City's name on the National League Football Academy Cup.
You look at the size of Max Hazard, and you can see why he has the reputation of a Sunday League football player. It's how he got signed, it's how he got scouted. You know, how can he impact the game? And you can see
And away,
winning these long balls.
well, you think having someone on the bench with the height of Max Hazard, and he can come and put himself about and be a stop any long balls being played into the penalty area, which is at the minute all Woking have really managed to muster in this second half. And at the moment, York City look far the more likely to double their tally than Woking do to level it. And they can get down the right-hand side here with Shepherd, who's then fouled by Max Lillywhite. He's going to milk this for all he can, Johnny Shepherd.
And you can see they're beginning to lose their heads, Woking. They're just really frustrating. They're going straight in for a foul when, I'd argue, Harrison was running that ball off the pitch. There wasn't really a crossing position for him, at least from our perspective.
Frustration's really starting to show for Woking. They've just been pounded out in this second half by a really good York City performance. They were lacklustre in the first half, York. Second half, they've shown their class. They've been the dominant force.
I'm also showing that experience, as you mentioned, they're kind of almost dark arts, if you will, with, we can see them constantly finding a new way to get rid of the ball, kill the time. As we can see in the first half, it was never added on. When we saw the captain for Woking, one of the defensive midfielder, Hilton, he was down 2-3 times and we only got 1 minute of added time.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the stats of how long the ball's been in play, particularly in these last 10 or 15 since York City took the lead. They've really wound the clock down as best they can. And they're on it here with Harrison. Whips the ball in. Good ball in. Bit of a mistake. It can be shuffled goalwards by Hernandez, and it's a crucial block on the line by Ellis Osborne, who keeps the score at 1-0. But York City are piling on the pressure. And that second goal doesn't feel too far away at the minute. McLaughlin will pick this up for York. Shifts it down the right flank, looking for Harrison. His touch evades him on that occasion. And there'll be a Woking throw. But the way things are going, you wouldn't think Woking are the side that need a goal to level things up.
No, not at all. Body language-wise, again, we're talking about them. They're just rushing. They're wanting to make everything early. And we saw a blind pass just then, which they got lucky to get back with a throw on. This ball gets smashed away here, just above our heads.
Poor clearance from Jacob McLaughlin, which will allow Woking a throw in. And look to try and get themselves up the field. They've barely been up the field in this second half.
If you're a Woking player on a personal level, you've got scouts here. You need to impress. And one thing scouts look for is your body language, your ability to just speak to your team and then just take responsibility, take the ball at all times and go. And that's been the problem with the midfield. None of them have gotten the ball really and gone. We're talking to Ezequiela, but he's been playing more of that 10, much further up. What about the defensive midfield and the central midfielders to get involved?
Down the line, sent in field. Again, drops to a light blue shirt. Billy Gordon, who's been excellent off the bench since his introduction. Launched clear by Woking. They're going to probably need a bit of fortune if they're going to find a leveller. They're not going to get it there. That's very calmly dealt with. Johnny Haas just nodding back to Jacob Bulmer.
Now, the question is, we know a couple of players like Haas that's got a professional contract. Do you reckon this helps calm their nerves, where we know no Woking player has currently got a professional contract?
Well, he's shown real experience and real composure, particularly in this second half where York City have really been the dominant force. Woking have an opportunity here. Ezequiela to the number 15. Can he get a cross in? He stands it up in towards the penalty area. Looping ball is well dealt with by Jacob Bulmer, who's not really had a great deal to do, but he's had to stay switched on.
It's been the wrong decision. Woking, we know they're not the tallest team, and now you're doing a high looping cross, which is only going to favour York. This is the one time we want to hit it low. We've not seen that.
Launch clear. Headed away. Drop to be cleared by George Wallace. York have been comfortable dealing with those long balls, and they're favouring them. Once more, it's played long. Again, York just happy to let that run through to Jacob Bulmer. Going to have to apply pressure onto the goalkeeper, or he's going to see the clock down as best he can.
If you look at the subs of Mitchell and Burton for Woking, they would compete on them 50-50s. And Ezequiela now looks to be the striker. He's not even bothering to get involved.
Well, you mentioned the dark arts. That's perhaps being put in play once more by York City, who have a man down over on the far side with cramp. The physio is going to come on. In fact, a third and final York City change is in the offing.
That could be Shepherd's calling. He's on the ground, and it would save them going down to 10 men. I would imagine it to be him. And it is.
So it's going to be Johnny Shepherd
For Harry Burland.
comes off. Harry Burland, the man introduced. Being told there's going to be 5 minutes added. Maybe that will lift Woking spirits a little bit. But we're into the dying embers. If they're going to do it, they're going to have to get on with it. As that substitute, Harry Burland, makes his way onto the field. Johnny Shepherd trudges off over on the far side.
And again, you can see more time wasting there from York. Bulmer just rolls the ball very far. The rest asked him to pull him back. And instead, the rest had to come all the way back over to the just outside the penalty box and drag it back to him.
Official has indicated there will be a minimum of 5 minutes of added time.
5 minutes then for Woking to find a leveller. It's not been forthcoming. Stranger things have happened. Launched clear by York City. Drops over George Wallace. He's going to have to battle once more with George Harrison. Good defending from Wallace, and he was fouled in doing so. It's been a really interesting battle, that, between Harrison and Wallace. The one time, really, that he's just lost a bit of concentration, Wallace, and he was punished by George Harrison, leading to the goal. Launched clear across the far side. Haas gets up well to the chest of the York City number 12. He pokes it back towards his own goal. York able to launch clear. Drops into the middle of the park. Woking on the ball, but being hounded by York at every opportunity. And Hernandez got his toe to that, poking into space for himself to run onto. The end is well dealt with. Woking can go long once more. Inadvertently, almost comes for Denny Roberts, forces Haas into a good challenge, and York can come forward and look to kill this game once again. Lovely footwork down that left-hand side. He's got Hernandez ahead of him. Foot comes in. Well enough. No fouls as the referee, and Woking can launch forward once more. Headed away. Touch from Wallace is a little bit astray. It's going to force him backwards. Footwork, lets himself down, and George Harrison's in on goal here for York City. It's George Harrison. He'll square it across the face of goal for Hernandez, who taps it in, but the flag is raised. Well, would you believe it? Woking want to get on with it, and they're playing straight away. Denny Roberts on the right-hand side pokes it into space for the number 5 to run onto. He'll be first to it, the Woking man. Able to win a throw-in. Well, what an opportunity. Something to be said for being a bit selfish occasionally. George Harrison probably should have taken a shot on. Difficult to say whether Alex Hernandez was offside from this angle. Linesman had a very good view of it.
Can I actually getting it wrong from there? That is poor. You have to stay on side.
Yeah, it really did. In comes the throw. It's a long one into the penalty area. Flicked on in towards the goal. Oh, chance for the number 15. Just got his head to it, but couldn't put any pressure on it. Now with Wallace on the edge of the area. Looks to bend one. Got it horribly wrong. Wrong call. George Wallace on his weaker right foot. Looking to bend it. And going for the spectacular. But it doesn't come off. And that'll ease a bit of the York City pressure. Who really, for the first time in a good while, just looked a little bit uncomfortable there.
Again, it's not clear cut. You know, it is just Woking going long, and what, 2 out of 10 times it's worked.
Drops into the middle of the field. Down the right-hand side now. Harrison. He's going to go to the corner flag. Looks as though he is. Holding it up. Wallace has got to try and nip it off him here. Support arriving. Precious time ticking away. Harrison. Brilliant stuff this from George Harrison. Eventually, Woking can clear, but that'll drop into the middle of the park where York City will be straight back onto it. Down the right line. Wallace looks to clear. Got it horribly wrong. Probably could have had a throw in if he wanted it. In the end, he tried to send it as far afield as he could and just slice it straight out of play for a York City throw. And we're into almost the last minute of the 5 added. York City with one hand on the trophy. It looked like handball. The ref didn't spot it. Woking will get the throw anyway. Osborne sends it down the line. Bit of pace down the left flank from the number 10. Looking to get into the penalty area. Still going. Tripped right on the edge of the area. No foul, says the referee. And that will probably just about be that for Woking. Look to foul.
The biggest decision of the game there, and the referee has not seen that. I don't believe on my angle he could even see that.
Felix Ezekwuala was the man. He's barely seen it in the second half. They've dealt with him brilliantly, York, but he just got a bit of space and time to run there. He looked as though he'd been fouled. The referee doesn't give it, but he does give the foul against Alex Hernandez then in the middle of the park, and 5 minutes are pretty much up. York City are almost there.
I'm just going to praise York there, talk about it's been a professional performance ever since they took the lead, which is surprising, since that's what they're going to aim to become. But right there, it's a poor decision. He takes Ezekwuala down, and somehow the ref has not seen that and given that as a penalty.
Big moment.
Big moment. Such a cruel game.
There's a card come out there, I think, perhaps. We haven't seen any bookings so far in this one. Quite see whether the referee administered a yellow card there. I'm not sure it's going to matter. York City, I think once they take this kick, the referee will think about blowing up for full time. Sent forward on the right flank. Brought down by Hernandez. He's held it up brilliantly in this second half. 3 Woking shirts around him, but he bursts out with all 3 of them. Hernandez, excellent play from the number 9. Squares it across the penalty area for Billy Gordon. He'll shift it further left. We've played 5 minutes here. And number 12 is going to go to the corner flag. He's going to try and see the clock down. They're almost there, York. Goal kick is given. Is there one last chance for Woking? It's now or never.
Do apologise for that language if that was heard.
Forward it comes. Glanced at the referee. Nothing as of yet from Graham Hill. Flicked forward down the left-hand side. Is there one last chance for Woking? Stood up into the penalty area. It'll drop into the arms of Jacob Bulmer, who drops on it, and will probably see York through to winning the National League Football Academy Cup final here at St George's Park. We've played over 5 minutes. Graham Hill, the referee, has his whistle in his mouth and blows for full time as the York City bench pile onto the field. York City are the winners of the National League Football Academy Cup. They've beaten Woking by a 1-0. Kieran Clayton getting the winner midway through the second half, arriving in at the back post and heading home from George Harrison's cross. And look, a cagey first half, and York came out second half, the better side, and were good value for, in the end, a 1-0 win.
Well, that's what it's all about. Look at them all jumping on George Harrison there, and that's nothing more than he deserves.
Well, it's been an interesting game between 2 sides who really battled from minute 1, and it was always going to be tight, it was always going to be cagey, but it was a George Harrison cross onto the head of Kieran Clayton, who nodded York City all the way to a 1-0 victory here in the National League Football Academy Cup final, where the celebrations have begun for York.
It's such a brilliant moment for these lot. You know, some will make it, some won't, but this will be a memory they'll always have. You know, getting to win a trophy at here, St George's Park, the home of the England national team. What a brilliant occasion.
You've got to feel for Woking.
Can you do something on the goal scorer, because they've got shots for the goal scorer? Can you talk about the goal scorer?
Just saying, you've got to feel for Woking. They really worked their socks off all game. Didn't happen from today, and it didn't happen because of the number 10 for York City, Kieran Clayton, who arrived at the back post to head home. He was excellent all afternoon, Clayton. He went off in the end, but he'd done his bit. He got the goal, the crucial goal. And when they think of this game, when they think of York City leaving with the National League Football Academy Cup, they'll think of him arriving at the back post and heading home from George Harrison's cross.
Yeah, absolutely. Woking didn't show that composure, but York did, and that was a brilliant header from Clayton. Yeah, he didn't feel like he was tense when he took that header. He came in and he attacked the ball. That's the difference. Woking end up losing, and York take home the trophy.
Well, frustrations boiling out between a few Woking players and the referee. You can understand it. There were a few key decisions that didn't go the way of the Cardinals. But ultimately, I think really they only have themselves to blame. It was York City who were the better side for the majority of the 90 minutes and good value for their 1-0 win. They never really looked troubled by Woking, who had a couple of half opportunities. I mean, the big one that they'll look back on was that one for Ben Mitchell in the first half where he put it over the bar from around 10 yards out. That was the biggest chance of the first half. Mitchell putting it over the crossbar. He'll be thinking about that tonight.
Yeah, and it wasn't just that one. He had another one earlier. And that's really sting, especially with the penalty right at the end. And you feel for Woking because the game's all about fine margins and they showed poor composure in that final third. And
well, it certainly will be interesting to see the replay of that foul right at the end. It obviously wasn't given on Felix Ezekwala, who was darting in and around the edge of the penalty area. I'm not 100% sure whether it was in the area. I'm not 100% sure whether it was a foul, but certainly it'll be interesting to see the replay. Woking frustrated with that one. Would have been dramatic. It probably would have been against the run of play that Woking got the equaliser. In the end, it's not to be, and York City are the winners of the National League Football Academy Cup. And they can enjoy their trophy lift that'll be coming up shortly here at St George's Park.
absolutely, they took advantage when they were on top and Woking didn't. And getting to do this trophy lift, you know, you'll never forget this as a player.
Yeah, you mentioned some of these players will go on to bigger and better things, and some of them perhaps not, but they'll always have this day at St George's Park where they get to lift silverware, perhaps a lot of them for the first time in their careers.
Yeah, they won't be getting any this season for both. Well, perhaps York, but Woking, unfortunately, so close.
It was an excellent run to get to the final, and memories to look back on in terms of getting here, and a great occasion to be a part of, but just not to be.
A big thank you, first of all, to everyone for coming along today to support both Woking and York City. And just before we do get underway with our post-match presentation, a big thank you to our match officials who will now go and collect
The
their
presentation will be underway shortly, and York City will be lifting the National League Academy Cup.
So once again, our match officials for this fixture were appointed by Worcestershire FA, the referee Graham Hill, the assistant referees Craig Thompson and James Kent.
So the referees
Official James Aliban.
picking up their medals.
Please do put your hands together for our losing finals. Commiserations to Woking.
And Woking, of course, don't leave fully empty-handed. They'll be going home with runners-up medals. As we said, just didn't quite happen for them today. They were really in the game in the first half, and I think marginally the better side. We said they were probably the underdogs coming into it. They played well in the first half. They'd been pleased going in at half-time with how the game had gone, but perhaps looking back now, they can say they should have been a goal up, and they really needed to take that opportunity while York were off it. The second half, York came out, and they looked like the side that we know that they can be, that they've shown in the league this season, and really they showed why they're above Woking in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. They played to their attributes. They played to their size. They played to their technique. And they knew what they wanted to do. They wanted to get the ball wide and get the balls in the box. And they stopped making mistakes. And Woking couldn't show quality in the final third. And they deserve to be runners-up today.
Just felt like they were running out of gas by the end of it. Really pressed high in the first half, Woking, but second half, York found time and space a little bit more easy to come by as they now go up to collect their winners' medals, York City. The captain, Tom Algar, will be lifting the trophy very shortly. We've said Kieran Clayton was the man who got that crucial goal midway through the second half, heading into the back post. There wasn't a great deal of shots on goal from either team. Neither keeper had a particularly busy day. But that one big chance that York City were able to carve out, they took it, and they're going to be lifting the cup because of it.
Presented to them by Bob Ballard.
Well, once again, congratulations to your winners. trophy.
Bob Ballard and Wayne Allen presenting the trophy to York City. And the celebrations can begin for York City as Tom Algar raises the cup. And the celebrations will begin and probably continue long into the afternoon for York City, who have travelled down to St George's Park, and they're going to be leaving with the Academy Cup in tow. A thoroughly professional performance from York.
Once again, a big thank you to Bob Ballard from our sponsors, UCFP.
And they will be thoroughly pleased with how the afternoon has panned out. It looked like it wasn't going to quite go all their way, and they didn't have things all their way. Woking certainly offered a stern opposition.
Congratulations to your winners, winning by a goal to nil of the Rush Running.
Absolutely, this is the dream for Woking, for York, my bad. This is what they've wanted to do all along, and to achieve this on such a top occasion. These will be moments of players they'll never forget, and having scouts on you, getting to see you hold a trophy, you will feel 10 foot tall today.
But obviously, from a Woking perspective, they've got to feel really and try and take the positives out of the day. Obviously, they're going home empty-handed, which they'd have been desperate to leave with that cup. But the opportunity to play here at St George's Park and really test themselves in a cup final, the pressures of a cup final, really there's nothing else like it in football. So I think they'll come out of it better players. Obviously, under 19 level, these are young men who are aspiring to make a career in football, and perhaps in a few years' time, some of these players will look back on this day and think that it was a real key point in their career that they've then been able to go on and push forward with.
Yep, some of these are just as young as 16, and to get to a place like this at that age would be terrific. And some of these can really go with their heads held high. We talk about Ezekwela. He was, we can fault him in any way today, and it can be a real learning curve. Learning how to play against a bigger team, learning how to play in that big occasion, only gives you more experience, and you should take the momentum from this going into next season.
Yeah, there were definitely a few standouts for Woking. I thought Ethan Gold at the back was also excellent. Showed some real power as well in the first half, driving forward, which led to that opportunity on the edge of the area where another decision that went against Woking. Ezekwela looked to have been fouled on the edge of the area. It wasn't given then. So they can look back and feel that on another day, they get a couple of decisions go their way and maybe the result's a different outcome. But, we'll never know. And that's football. And these Woking players will have to pick themselves up and go again.
Yeah, but you mentioned that you can't expect to win a cup final not creating anything clear cut, and they didn't create any consistency.
That's as wide as I can go.
They do deserve to lose today, as we saw. York have 3 or 4 brilliant chances.
The winners, York City, coming across now for post-match interviews.
Hi, my name is Redford Elton. I'm with York Academy Manager. Now, first thing first, obviously, congratulations. Well done on the performance. Is there anything you can actually take from the performance? Obviously, the results are what you wanted, but is there anything in particular you can take?
I think it's a really different day. The surroundings, everything from first thing in the morning, you're getting on the coach. It's a little bit of a different travel down. The environment's obviously very different. The pitch is perfect. Some spectators, all those sorts of things add up to like a different day out for the boys. I think there's some pressure on the game as well, and I think it showed in the performances of both teams.
Now, going back to obviously the game-changing moment, the header, it came from beautiful play down on the right-hand side. Is that a routine that you've practiced at all?
I think we have a lot of Kieran Clayton headers among our goals this season. I think that's something we work on. Certainly, Tim and the players do on a day-to-day basis, so credit to them for that. It works quite often for us.
And obviously, I'm pretty sure this extends your unbeaten run to 14 games. Is there any formula to this?
I think we're really hard to beat. I think obviously forwards take the plaudits for winning games a lot, but I think when you look at the goals conceded, Johnny, the goalkeepers, the midfielders as a group, we don't concede many. I think when you're not conceding many, you give yourself a chance to either draw or winning games.
Well, I just want to say congratulations and once again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Cheers. Really glad to be here. John.
give you the call again, Jack. Bob. Scott Harrison. Yeah. Scott Harrison. Jack, if you can sort the camera out.
Can we just get you a little bit more to your left, if that's okay?
Use the mic as close as you can.
And the board needs to go.
So we will go to the interview then in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
With Woking Academy manager Scott Harrison. Commiserations on the result, but how did you believe the team performed as a whole?
I thought we've done well. We've done a lot of preparation. In the build-up to New York, we're going to be a tough test with the run they've been on. I think second half, if you look at overall balance of play, I think they upped it second half. First half, we edged the game and we frustrated them. Probably had a few chances where we should have maybe got one, maybe took a goal lead. But yeah, it's disappointing after the good run we've had on this year. A lot of tests where we've had to come along and beat some tough opponents.
So, just talking about the game as a whole, obviously excluding the goal, do you believe there was any turning points in the game which sort of put it in York's favour?
I don't know if there was any turning points. I think again they changed their shape second half. I think they matched us first half. Also a bit of respect to what we play. Second half they went to the usual 4-3-3. I think they started to nullify which was our threat, which was Felix, the number 10. Again, look at some of the big calls. Could we had a penalty today? I think we had a few shouts that maybe didn't go away. Where maybe one of the 2 or 3 that came away, I thought maybe. But in open play, did we look like we're going to score? Probably not. As I said, what goal between the two teams was the difference really.
My final question, you still have a couple of games left in the league this season, so how important is it going to be to bounce back from this result to end the season strong?
We always say it's important to bounce back. I think games like this, they've got to learn from it. It's an experience, which has been last year, semi-final stage last year, this year, so hopefully we'll inspire them to come back and try and get another opportunity next year. We've got some massive games now in a busy week against some teams in the league. We can still finish quite high. I think we believe we can still finish third, so we just said that we'll finish off strong. The characters are back in the final game, get back into it this week. And keep pushing on, keep believing that they're about. They are the squad of players. They've done well over the last 2 years for us. They've won leagues at under 8 levels. They've done well at under 9 levels. The first team as well, so they're not a bad group at all. I just think it's a case of today we just felt a little bit short in the second half. But they can't be disappointed because I think they're really superb in the run they've put together this season to get here.
Thank you for your time.
Cheers.
Thanks, Scott. Cheers. Cheers, Scott.